Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Cloudian Yugioh deck profile for April 2023. With the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel box, we actually got a bunch of reprints for the Cloudian monsters. They had not been reprinted for a good while, so making the deck quite difficult to build, but with the release of the latest Speed Duel box and the more availability of the cards, I decided to update the deck with its more control playstyle, I would say, being the more looked upon version of the deck, just being able to set up the different fog counters on the field for your Cloudian monsters and then being able to utilize those counters depending on which Cloudian monsters you have out on the field also. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the main deck monsters, we're running 3 copies of Cloudian Smokeball, just your go-to vanilla monster, just being an easy resource to special summon and make use of on the field, depending on if it's a discard counter for cards like Cloudian Aerosol, an easy special summon to make use of for link plays that we have in the extra deck. 3 of this card just make for, like I said, that fodder that you can use for your playstyle setup and combos with your Cloudian cards. We're also running 3 copies of Cloudian Turbulence. It cannot be destroyed by battle. If it's in face-up defense position, destroy it. If this card is normal summon, place 1 fog counter on it for each Cloudian monster on the field. You can remove 1 fog counter from this card to special summon 1 Cloudian Smokeball from either your deck or graveyard. So this is the resource I spoke of before, just being able to use Smokeball as a special summon card on the field for your Cloudian Turbulence, just being able to remove 1 fog counter from it. So when you summon out your Turbulence, you get a fog counter on this card, and then just being able to get an easy Smokeball onto the field thanks to this card also. So it's a definite 3 of just being an easy resource to make use of. I also run 2 copies of Cloudian Atlas or Altis. Cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card is in face-up defense position, destroy it. If it's normal summon, place 1 fog counter on it for each Cloudian monster on the field. You can remove 3 fog counters from anywhere on the field to discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. This is also not a once per turn, so if you have multiple fog counters on the field, which you can also do with Cloudian Aerosol, you can discard multiple cards from your opponent's hand using your Cloudian Altis to do so. So with this resource, you have just a card to disrupt your opponent's plays and also just go for more of the control play style to make your opponent want to not have as many cards in their hand for fear that your Cloudian cards could easily remove those cards from their hand to begin with. And also 2 copies of Cloudian Acid Cloud. It cannot be destroyed by battle. If it's in face-up defense position, destroy it. If it's normal summon, place 1 fog counter on it for each Cloudian monster on the field. You can remove 2 from this card to target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it. It's the spell and trap destruction play. You have more of a discard power with Altis, a special summon power with Turbulence, and then you have the destruction of spell and traps on the field with your Cloudian Acid Cloud. We're also running 2 copies of Cloudian Storm Dragon. With this card, it cannot be normal summon or set. It must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing a Cloudian monster from your graveyard. Cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card's in face-up defense position, destroy it. And once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field and place 1 fog counter on that card. So Storm Dragon, if you send your Smokeball to the graveyard, just let's say for a link summon or play, you have the banish play right then and there to summon out your Storm Dragon, and then Storm Dragon can provide another fog counter on the card. This card's also not a once per turn special summon, so if you have another Storm Dragon, you can just special summon another one if you have the card to banish from your graveyard to do so. And for some of the one-ofs for the Cloudians, 1 copy of Eye of the Typhoon and 1 copy of Cirrostratus. If this card's normal summon with Cirrostratus, place 1 fog counter on it. For each Cloudian monster on the field, you can remove 2 fog counters from this card to target a monster on the field and destroy that target. So it's another destruction play, but the only reason I run the one-of is it's a more situational play. Same with Eye of the Typhoon. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and when it declares an attack, change the battle position of all face-up monsters except for Cloudian monsters. So then you can just have a way to get over some of your opponent's higher attack point monsters, with link monsters being more significant though. It's why I'm only running 1 of this card, because if they have the link monster, you can't switch its battle position to do so. We run a lower Cloudian monster count, but it all comes down to just some of the other setup cards we run for these spells. 1 of these spells being Cloudian Aerosol. Discard 1 Cloudian monster, target 1 face-up monster on the field, place fog counters on that target equal to its level. You can banish this card and 1 Cloudian monster from your graveyard to special summon 1 Cloudian monster from your deck. You can only use 1 Cloudian Aerosol effect per turn, and only once that turn. So even if you go for the banish of a Cloudian monster, like your Smokeball, you can get another Cloudian monster on the field with that play to do so. Or if you already have the monster on the field, you can set up fog counters on the field as well with that Cloudian monster, especially with cards like Cloudian Altis being able to remove 3 fog counters from anywhere on the field, and being able to place one with this card as well. If you were to discard cards like Eye of the Typhoon, with that discard putting the 8 additional counters on your aerosol since it's level, you can then remove 3 fog counters to discard one random card from your opponent's hand, and that can be the discard 3 using this card to do so. We also run 3 copies of Fog Control. Tribute 1 face-up Cloudian monster, then target 1 face-up monster on the field. Place 3 fog counters on that target. So with the tribute of your Cloudian card, you just have another way to build up fog counters on the field with this quick play spell, being to tribute a Cloudian monster to do so also. So even if you just tribute one of your little smoke balls, you can have the fog counter set up on any of your other Cloudian cards. I also run 2 copies of Summon Cloud. Once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower Cloudian monster from your hand or either graveyard. You must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. If you special summon from the graveyard with this effect, destroy this card. So you get your Cloudian resource out on the field. If it's from the graveyard, you'll lose this card. Otherwise, you can just easily special summon your Cloudian from your hand and then have the additional normal summon of another Cloudian monster from your hand also with this card. I also run 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This is to set up Cloudian Aerosol in the graveyard to have a quicker access to our banished special summon that this card can provide. So with that, you just have then a way to special summon any of your Cloudian monsters, including your bigger boss monster, Eye of the Typhoon, if need be. And for some of the 1-ups, I run 1 Diamond Dust Cyclone. You target 1 monster with 4 more fog counters, destroy it, and if you do, draw 1 card for every 4 fog counters that was on it. So at most, it could potentially be a draw 2 if you were to use the aerosol discard. Play with this card 1 copy of Call by the Grave, along with 1 copy of Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn, and also 1 1-for-1 for once again the Smoke Ball, but also a way to set up another monster in the graveyard to use for either our aerosol banish or special summon with cards like Summon Cloud later on if need be. Moving on now to the traps. Being more of a control variant, we do run a pretty high trap lineup. First, starting off, 2 Rainstorm. Target 1 Cloudian monster you control, reduce its attack by exactly 1,000 or 2,000, and apply the appropriate effect. If it's 1,000, destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, or if it's 2,000, destroy 2 cards your opponent controls. So with the Cloudian monster you may have on the field, the big play with this card will be utilizing your Eye of the Typhoon for that summon, or even if you go for more of an attack boost that you can provide with some of your other Cloudian cards. You also have the 1,000 to destroy a spell or trap, so you have cards like Storm Dragon or even your go-to Altis for the reduction there, depending on what you reduce. But you can also power up some of your Cloudians depending on some of the link monsters you may get on the field also. We also run 3 copies of Summon Limit. Now, this card I really do like in the deck just for the fact that you're really not limited to too many monsters that you need for a specific play. Sometimes you may just need 2 Cloudian monsters on the field, and that could be enough for your play to resolve, and then it could just be a quicker time for your opponent to try and recover from getting monsters on the field for them to use themselves. If they're also limited for their summon, that leaves more cards in their hand for you to discard with your Cloudian cards. And also 3 copies of Call the Haunted for more special summon of your Cloudians from the graveyard to the field. And they have to be in attack position to be able to at least remain on the field. So that's why Call the Haunted is preferred over cards like Back to the Front or the Sacred Revival spell, Worm spell, Trap Revival to use also. With the final trap that we run in the deck, just 3 copies of Solemn Strike, just another way to avoid some pesky monster effects on the field that our Cloudian monsters find it more difficult to get around. Now for our extra deck for the Link monsters, 1 copy of Link Karibo and 1 copy of Link Spider for level 1 options to use with Smoke Ball to summon out onto the field. 2 copies of Coral Anemone for more water monster special summon onto the field, and also 2 copies of Area, the Water Charmer, for more water summon resources from our opponent's graveyard to the field, and also 1 copy of Miss Starboy, 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 copy of Apollosa, Bow of the Goddess for the rest of the Link monsters, and for the Xyz monsters, 1 copy of Stealth Kraken Spawn, 1 copy of number 4 Stealth Kraken, 1 Daigusto Morale to use with our Smoke Balls, 1 Bahamut Shark, and 1 Totally Awesome, along with 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus to finish off the rest of the Xyz monsters. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I mentioned before, Turbulence has a great setup with the Fog counter, placement of your Cloudian monster on the field. And then also you can remove one to special summon a Cloudian smoke ball. So you can just summon out Turbulence and then put the smoke counter on it and then remove it. And then you get the smoke ball onto the field. You can go then for the Link summon with your smoke ball, and that can either get you out a Link Spider or just the Link Karibo. And then you have the Cloudian monster set up in your graveyard for either a revival or setup of just an easy defensive play to then set up your other additional traps that you may run in the deck, going for more of a shutdown of your opponent's cards. But then also you have the play and setup by being able to place additional fog counters on your monsters, or having even just the banish play, because then you have your monster in the graveyard to banish to summon out cards like your Cloudian Storm Dragon, and then you can either set up more cloud counters there or go for the overlay play into your Stealth Kraken setup. You can go for the Bahamut Shark for another discard, and then with that getting your Totally Awesome, using your monsters with just 3, setting up your Link Karibo, Bahamut Shark, and Totally Awesome on the field for you to use. If you go for the hand reduction play, you could have the Cloud Atlas. So with that play, you have the play of Eye of the Typhoon, your Aerosol, and your Altis on the field. So then you summon out your Altis to the field with this card, place 1 fog counter on it for each Cloudian monster on the field, and then with just it being the 1 card, you'll get 1 counter. You can then activate Cloudian Aerosol, discarding your Eye of the Typhoon, getting 8 additional counters on this card. With that setup, you have now an Altis with 9 counters on it. You can remove all 3, and that'll take 3 random cards from your opponent's hand. Definitely, hindering their play by already losing 3 cards before they even got to take their first turn. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, it's a fun control deck to give a try, and the cards are readily available now since we got the new reprints from the latest Speed Duel box. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.